Will the Fortnite collab save the boys? Now, I know that Fortnite is known for doing a bunch of collabs with many different IPs ranging from gaming, cinema, TV, anime, etc., and doing collabs that I never would have thought they would do. But I never would have thought that Fortnite would collab with the boys. I thought the boys was maybe too edgy, too bloody, too, whatever, but at long last, Epic Games finally pulls through and gives us one of the greatest Amazon Prime series in Fortnite thus far, alongside one other. Now, you may be wondering, why would a game that is largely known for being a kid's game benefit from a collab from a TV series meant for a mature audience? As someone who both plays Fortnite and is a fan of the boys, I'll explain why this collab is extremely beneficial for both parties. Ironically enough, Fortnite is actually not the kids' game that people think it is, with the vast majority of users in Fortnite being between the ages of 18 to 24. But in terms of media representation, Fortnite is perceived as a kids' game, especially to people that are not in the Fortnite community. And because of that, collaborations like The Boys, like Invincible, like many others, challenge this idea because of the fact that The Boys is meant for a mature audience. And as a result, if Fortnite allows this collab, then that must mean that Fortnite is also suitable for mature audiences. And mature audiences are usually the ones making the most in-game purchases, as younger audiences usually can only get whatever their parents buy. As well as this, Fortnite collaborations are also great at promoting various IPs to its player base and introducing things that they would have never known about. It's why so many IPs are willing to collab with Fortnite, which means more revenue for both parties. One example that comes to mind in terms of an IP that I didn't know existed until it was introduced to Fortnite is the Gorillas collab that Fortnite did. And honestly, I'd never heard of Gorillas in my life. I still, to this day, don't know that much about it, but I remember the name and I remember how the characters look. And that in and of itself is really big, I think, for promotion because, at that point, you're just one trailer, one, sneak peek away from being hooked to a series. But more than that, as we all know, The Boys is currently in a tough spot. Right now, we are on the final season of The Boys, which means the conclusion of the main storyline, as well as the likely farewell to the two most loved characters in the franchise, Homelander and Billy Butcher, is on the horizon. Now, of course, there's some newer additions to the franchise that are loved as well, such as Soldier Boy, who I think is going to be the next character that the Boys franchise is going to bet on, with the series of VOT Rising releasing in the near future. But I don't think that Soldier Boy is going to be enough to carry the series long term, especially with a majority of Soldier Boy's sort of storytelling potential being set as a prequel or as a past event, which usually can't really go on for that long. We've also seen how spin-offs of The Boys have done poorly as well, though, with Gen V, and how the third season was just straight up cancelled due to poor performance. And not even franchise giants such as Marvel Studios is able to do nearly as well without their main cast of characters present, as we've seen from Marvel in recent years. And so if not even Marvel can pull it off, I'm not sure if The Boys can pull it off either. However, with the introduction of The Boys in Fortnite and the new potential influx of people that will be interested in the series, largely being in the 18 to 24-year-old demographic like I mentioned earlier, The Boys will have a sizable kickstart to their new set of series that will be released. And as a content creator myself, I know how powerful early presence and early hype can have in terms of pushing you ahead for popularity. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for that will happen in the near future, especially if the boys collab brings items to Fortnite, because as we all know, maybe some of us don't know, but Fortnite collabs come usually in two sort of different ways. One of them is a cosmetic way where they introduce skins and pickaxes and back blings and cosmetic things. And another way is where they bring in items that change the meta, that add new gameplay elements. And those are the collabs that are a lot more remembered by the player base. And so if the boys collab brings new items to Fortnite, that will remain in everyone's minds for the foreseeable future, for potentially even years if the gameplay is good enough. And so I think that potential for popularity is going to really help the boys in its future and allow it to continue to make compelling stories by bringing the audience that it needs, that it'll eventually end up losing once the final season's over. Some people are not going to want to watch past just the standard The Boys. And so I think in many ways the boys themselves also planned for this to be the case, as Fortnite collabs are usually very specific in its timing for its arrival, and the way things are projected right now, it seems as though the skins will arrive near the end of the boys season. Personally, I think it would have been smarter if they brought the skins when the series is currently airing, because if they bring the skins in too late, and inevitably there'll be a several month gap at minimum between the boys' final season and VOD Rising, I think that bringing the skins during its hype moment is the smarter decision. But if the finale is incredibly hype, I think that timing would be absolutely perfect. And I think that there is huge potential here if the boys and Fortnite get their timing perfect and the final season, ends up trending on social media for the final episode, and the Fortnite brings the skins at that exact time. That would be huge. That would save the boys completely. But all this is to say that I think that some fans are hesitant about the boys collab being in Fortnite because they see Fortnite as a kid's game and that the boys is a mature audience series. But trust me when I say that I think these two audiences blend together in more ways than people realize, and only good things can come from this collab. It's not like Fortnite's not like Roblox or like Minecraft, where a majority of its player base are elementary school kids or younger potentially. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on the collab. I can't wait for it to come out. Yeah, let me know if you want me to cover the collab in Fortnite. I'll definitely be covering the collab when it releases, giving my thoughts on the skins and giving my thoughts on the items as well if they potentially release some. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. And as always, thanks for watching.